Hey everyone, I'm live today from Rome. My name is George. I'm 28 years old. I live in Rome currently. I'm in quarantine, just like all of you guys, I'm sure. This is my first masterclass webinar. I've done many webinars of other levels, but I like masterclass particularly because we don't focus on grammar that much. We focus on sort of vocabulary and conversation and improving fluency and talking about real topics and like difficult, debatable topics. And today we'll be talking about inspiration and what that is for each of you and for me. Whoever's watching, I'd encourage you to participate in any conversations, ask questions, write comments, post your opinion, and just participate in general. If you're watching at the moment, let me know your name and where you're watching from. Give me some basic details. So as I said, I'm currently in Rome. I've been teaching here for around a year and 9 months, so almost 2 years. And I'm originally from Cyprus. Cyprus is like a small, predominantly Greek-speaking island in the Eastern Mediterranean. But I have family in Cyprus and in Canada also because my dad is Canadian. But I was born and raised in Cyprus, so I'm European. And this is, as I said, this is my first masterclass webinar. So welcome everyone. I see we have 3 viewers. Let me know your names, where you are currently watching from. Maybe I know you, maybe I've taught you before if you are in Rome. And how is everyone doing with the quarantine? How is the situation with you? For me, it's been quite an interesting period. I'm trying to utilize it in a way that allows me to sort of acquire new skills. I joined a marketing program. I'm learning Spanish, things that I wouldn't have done if I had a full-time job going out. And I think the quarantine has helped me in that respect. But in other respects, I think it has its ups and downs. I think it's sometimes you just wake up and you realize what situation the world is in, and it's quite depressing to think about. But I'm trying not to let it get me down, as you should too. So any viewers, guys, post a comment, let me know what your name is, where you're watching from. Don't be shy to participate. We're gonna have a conversation today. Gianni, hi, from Padua. Interesting, I've never been to Padua, even though I've been to the north and the south. I think Padua is in the north, isn't it? The closest I've been is probably Verona, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. Good, excellent. Keep the comments coming in. Hi, Alessia from Naples. Excellent. Naples, one of my favorite cities. Gianni says it's a period I'm trying to go on with my hobbies, but in a virtual way. Very good. For example, what sort of hobbies? And we have also Keisha from Essex. Welcome. Not a student at Myes, I'm imagining. Okay, welcome everyone. We're going to have a conversation about inspiration today. So first of all, if I lay out the word inspiration, what vocabulary comes to mind? Let's have a bit of a think about words that you associate with the word inspiration. So I'll give you a few minutes to think about it and write some words in the comments. Padua is not far from Venice. Okay, I get it. I've been to Venice many times, but not in the last year and a half where I've been here, but I went in the past. So inspiration. If I think of inspiration, for example, I think of intuition, maybe is a good word. So intuition is like when you have sort of an instinctive solution to a problem because you are inspired in that moment. So I would say intuition is a word that I associate with inspiration. What else would you say? I thought about this before the masterclass, so I have some words written down. What do you associate with inspiration? Ideas, motivation, says Alessia. Excellent. So inspiration is something that you have and it motivates you to do stuff. Yeah. And ideas, very good. Ideas are very important, especially in innovative companies. So we can say innovation as well. So technological firms, novel sort of products, very good. You need to be inspired. You need to have that intuition and those ideas, very good, to come up with clever solutions. Encouraging, says Gianni, very good. So if someone inspires you, that's a nudge. It encourages you to do something new, do something different, and progress and grow. That's excellent. Who encourages you? So for example, my inspiration would be, for example, when I think of inspiration, I think of parents. I think of my parents who inspire me. I think of successful people who have made a difference in the world. We will talk about specific examples later on, so don't reveal who inspires you yet, specifically. Alessia says creativity, very important, yeah. It goes hand in hand, I would say. Another one, I would say aspiration. So aspiration is basically similar to a goal or a target you have. For example, I aspire to be a successful English language teacher. Yeah, so that is my aspiration. In order to reach that goal, those aspirations, I need to be inspired or motivated, as Alessia said. So I always associate the two together. Also, I would say with ideas, usually when we think about a lot of ideas, we call that brainstorming. So brainstorming is good. And also a brainstorming session is also a thought shower. So a shower of thoughts in your mind, yeah? It's a thought shower. Gianni says someone among his relatives is what inspires him. Yep, very good. Alessia says, I generally think of people who are more experienced than me. Yeah, so people that can have given you an example for you to follow. Yeah, really good points, guys. Exactly. Good. Another thing that I would say is, and this one is one of my favorites, I would say brain arousal. Arousal usually refers to sexual arousal. So if you feel aroused, you feel a sexual desire. But brain arousal is basically inspiration, feeling inspired. Yeah, it's quite a literary term. I wouldn't use it every day because it's a bit strange, but brain arousal, when you have like a lot of ideas, a rush of inspiration and sort of creativity, as you guys said. So a lot of good vocabulary here to begin with. So inspiration, some questions to discuss, guys. Does everybody need inspiration in their lives? What do you think? Let me know your opinions in the comments. In my opinion, yes, everybody needs inspiration. I think someone who is intrinsically motivated, so intrinsically motivated is a person who doesn't rely on external factors or other people to be motivated or inspired. They're able to dig within themselves and find that inspiration from inside, intrinsic. But I think everybody needs some external influences, some positive inspiration or some example to follow, as Alessia said, in order to to be more inspired. Alessia agrees. Very good. What about the second question? What inspires you personally? This is, yeah, quite a personal question. For me, I think two things inspire me. First one is kindness. I think when people show kindness without expecting a reward or something in return, I find that very inspiring, because in today's world, everything feels very superficial. I think there's a lot of personal interests involved, and everybody thinks about themselves. So altruism and sort of random acts of kindness towards each other inspires me. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. And that's very inspirational and a very good example to follow. Johnny says, inspiration is something useful, definitely, but not a need. Interesting. Yeah, maybe motivation is a need. Inspiration, like maybe not so much. I think, at least in my life, feeling inspired is something that motivates me. So if I need motivation for something, inspiration goes hand in hand with motivation, yeah. With inspiration. So the other thing, apart from kindness, that really inspires me is success. I think seeing people achieve things. So achievements, accomplishments, that bring about change in the world. I think that's something very inspirational and a very good example to follow. And I think most of these people are not, they don't start from a different background. They don't start from specific special circumstances. They are they are just, normal people who just happen to have this success because of hard work and motivation and not giving up. And I think that's very inspiring to know that they started from the same humble origins as anyone. It gives you the idea that anyone can be successful, anyone can achieve that sort of success in their lives. What about you guys? What motivates you? So I talked about success and kindness, which motivates me and inspires me. Do you agree? Do you disagree? How do you see that? And what other types of inspiration can you think of? This is interesting. Types of inspiration. We talked about motivation, definitely. We talked about ideas. We talked about innovation. I think these are all different kinds of inspiration. But as I said, inspiration can be intrinsic, something that you can create for yourself, although it's quite difficult, and or external. So you see something or you read about something, and that brings motivation to you. Janny says, a goal reached by someone else that I had in mind to achieve. Exactly. So exactly. It's like the success of someone else in a similar field, something that interests you, makes you feel that it's possible, and it inspires you to take the same course of action. Alessia says, I get inspired by whoever is able to think fast and lucidly. Wow, that's beautiful. So intelligence inspires you, and sort of intuitiveness, maybe intuition. Great. That's very interesting. Good. Let's continue. So now we will look at some quotes, and we will discuss the meaning and how important they are. Let me know if these apply to you, the there are quotes that you have heard before, and if you try to follow them or to use them or to have them in mind in your everyday life. So the first one says, keep your eyes on the stars and your feet on the ground. How would you interpret this? I think this is a great quote, in my opinion. How would we interpret this? Keep your eyes on the stars gives me an idea of your goal. So dream big, as we say. Dream big. Set really high goals, challenging goals, goals that will make you work very hard. Don't make it easy for yourself. Keep your eyes on the stars, so the dream, and keep working at it. But at the same time, your feet on the ground. So be realistic, basically. Be grounded. Grounded, we say, or down to earth is another very good adjective. Because if you let even the smallest success go to your head and you stop trying and working hard, or if you kind of stray away from the path of your goal and where you need to be, then you won't reach success. Yeah. So very good. Dream big, but also be realistic and keep working very hard. Ooh, Alessia says, think big, but never forget where you come from. That's very true. Gianni agrees. Be realistic and down to earth, but be open to new ideas. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, very good. I think you hit the nail on the head. This is a very good expression. You hit the nail on the head means you got the right point. A very good point you make. It hits the right spot. Good. Number 2, problems are not stop signs. They are guidelines. This is interesting to me. I think stop signs would be maybe obstacles. So if you start to the path towards a specific goal, of course, it's not easy. There are hiccups and obstacles in the way that you have to overcome. But by overcoming them and by facing them, you learn and you can grow. And so they guide you towards the right steps that you need to take in order to reach that goal ultimately. So I would say this is a very good quote as well. Gianni agrees. Yeah, from a problem, you can learn quite a lot. Excellent. Very concise way of putting it, Gianni. Great. Alessia says, eyes at the stars reminds me of another quote I love, which is, you gotta aim for the moon so that you can at least reach for the stars. Yeah, that's a great quote. I know a slightly different version of that, Alessia. It's something that like, aim for the moon, because even if you fail and if you fall, you will still be among the stars. Obviously, scientifically, that's not correct because stars are not necessarily closer to the Earth than the moon. But yeah, even if you don't reach the moon, you will be close enough, which is among the stars. Yeah. Great. I love that. Yeah, going back to the second one, if you think about a difficult route you have to follow in the street, driving, for example, and you encounter stop signs, they are necessary because they are part of the path that you need to follow. You can't avoid traffic altogether, right? So they guide you through towards your destination. They are a kind of an inseparable part of the journey. Number 3, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Gianni says, perhaps it can happen, but it's not a sure statement. I would say it's not a definite statement, yeah? A better adjective for that sentence. I think life in the sense of opportunity. So if you stay within your comfort zone and you don't challenge yourself, you don't expose yourself to different people, different situations, and taking on different activities, new things, new experiences, then you will always remain who you are. But by allowing yourself to be exposed to new opportunities and getting out of your comfort zone, there is where the possibility for growth exists. So you can grow through kind of doing more and more different things and expanding your comfort zone. Because as you do new things more and more, they become part of your comfort zone. And so you just become a more experienced and kind of well-rounded person. Yeah. I think this is a great quote. I'm not sure life begins at the end of your comfort zone, maybe, as Janni says. But I think in the sense of opportunity and growth, then yeah, in order to grow well, you need to step outside your comfort zone to bring about change. What do you guys think? And when was the last time you had to step outside your comfort zone? A good example for me would be starting a teaching career. Before teaching, I worked in marketing, and I was very used to an office job, not dealing with live performance, because teaching is basically performing. You are live speaking in front of an audience. So it can be quite intimidating, it can be quite scary. But if you don't start, if you don't put yourself out there, then there's no way you will be used to it. And there's no way you will be a successful teacher. And number 4, knowing is not enough. We must apply. Willing is not enough. We must do. This one hits home for me, meaning that it's very relevant for me. It hits home. It kind of strikes a nerve inside me because I am a person, I am a thinker and not a doer. So I think about things, but I don't take action. I'm one of these people who overthinks. I love thinking, expressing my emotions, expressing my thoughts, discussing them, analyzing them with other people, my friends, my family. But it takes me a long time to finally take action. And this quote is very educational for me because knowing and thinking and willing, wanting is not enough, because that's not how change happens. You have to actually take action and move from a place of thought to a place of action. What do you guys think? Alessia says, regarding the third one, when you leave your comfort zone, you can discover new strengths and weaknesses of yourself. Yeah, you can discover yourself. That's a very powerful statement, Alessia. Discovering yourself and feeling more comfortable with yourself. Janny says, I agree with this quote. We have to do, create, realize. It's not sufficient to think or learn or reflect only. Absolutely. This one hits home, Janny. What you're saying is like, you're teaching me things. This is quite influential for me as well. Because as I said, I tend to take a long time to take action. I'm quite hesitant. Good, so we've analyzed them. Your contribution has been great. Which one is the most inspiring for you? For me, as you have guessed, it's the fourth one, definitely. Let me know which one is the most inspirational for you. Obviously, they all have to do with self-development and self-awareness and your goals and ultimately your happiness in life, basically. Okay. 1 second. Johnny says the first one is the most inspirational. So being grounded, but thinking big. Yeah, great, excellent. Okay, so let's talk about some inspirational people. So who inspires you? Before you answer this question and tell me who inspires you personally, let's look at some examples. So in this picture, we have the one and only Stephen Hawking, one of the greatest scientists and physicists in the modern world. Alessia says, I perfectly understand you because I'm a thinker too. But when we're finally able to take actions, it feels so good. It galvanizes the soul. Absolutely. And I'm so glad. I'm not glad that you are exactly the same as me, a thinker rather than a doer, because it's not a very good thing. But thanks for the understanding. And you think number one is the most influential, the most inspirational. Good. Okay, so going back to Stephen Hawking's, here we have a person who had a nervous disease basically, and who is reduced to immobility and basically disability, but the brain still works, and despite all the physical limitations that he has been able to be so inspirational and bring about change in the way we view the world. So a great example to inspire us to not be physical limitations inhibit our growth and our production. I will share a resource with you of some people that are very inspirational. We won't look at all of them, but we'll look at some. These are people I wasn't aware of either, some of them, but some of them, yes. 1 second. So, in this resource, we'll start with the first one, and his name is Myes, a man with no limbs who teaches people how to get up. So limbs are basically the ends of your body, basically. So hands are your upper limbs, and your legs, your feet, are your lower limbs. And he has 0 limbs. If you can see in the picture, there's a little there, which he calls his drumstick, a chicken drumstick, because it resembles a chicken leg, basically. Alessia says she found Elon Musk very inspiring. It is very popular at the moment, you're right, but it's certainly not banal. He's definitely very inspirational, and he's a person who failed many times, but persevered through the failure until he reached success. And that's a vital part of success, I think, is failing, because accepting failure and not giving up is what ultimately brings success. So let's go back to Nick Weir's example. Maybe the resource is too small. I'll make it a bit bigger. Okay, so he says, I'm happy. Why aren't you? Asks Nick Weir, an Australian man born with the rare tetra amelia syndrome. Despite being limbless, missing both arms at shoulder level, and having only one small foot with 2 toes protruding from his left thigh, he's doing surf, he's swimming, playing golf, and soccer. Nick graduated from college at the age of 21 with a double major in accounting and financial planning, and became a motivational speaker with a focus on life with a disability, hope, and finding meaning in life. Having addressed over 3 million people in over 44 countries on 5 continents, he also spreads his message of hope on his book, Life Without Limits, Inspiration for a Ridiculously Good Life, published in 2010. Whoops. Sorry. So, are you aware of Nick Vujicic? Had you heard about him before? Let me know in the comments. I had watched a video, I think, back in 2010 when he was still kind of going around touring, and he had just started working as a motivational speaker and a life coach. And I was so inspired by his story. And then I think as I followed his path a little bit and his story, I realized he got married, and now I think he has 2 children, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't followed him for some time, so I'm not sure what the recent updates are in his life. But he's definitely come from very humble beginnings. And he's a very down-to-earth person. And when you see him, he just puts a smile on your face. I've seen him talk in public at schools, and the things he says are so inspiring. The way he has been able to keep positive through all the negativity that comes from not being able to do some things that we don't even think twice about, like walking or doing sport or doing housework or anything. And the way he has kept a positive mental attitude through all of that, I find astonishing. Let's see, any comments? Yeah, okay. You weren't aware about him, but I think it's worth having a look at his videos. You can easily search for him on YouTube. He's very inspirational guy. Very inspirational guy. So going on to the second example. Now, I didn't know this person, but unbelievable story. So here, I would like you to read this by yourself. I will give you a few minutes, and then I will ask you some questions, some comprehension questions in the comment section. So I'll give you a few minutes, read the story, and then we will discuss some vocabulary and some comprehension questions. Okay, I will move the text a little bit lower. Okay, 1 more minute, guys, as I type my questions. So, I have 3 questions here for you. First one, oh, sorry, I should have numbered them. How many people were involved in the crash to begin with? What did they eat while trying to survive? And how many survived in the end? So have a read through and find the answers here. So, let me know if you guys need more time. But if you know the answers to these questions, just type your answers in the comments. So the first question, how many people were involved in the crash? So initially there were the 13 passengers that were instantly dead and 32. So that together is about 45 people, yeah, on this plane. So not a very big flight in terms of numbers, but 13 people died instantly and many more later who couldn't survive. Very good, 45 people. They ate corpse of dead people. Yes, that to me is astonishing. Would you say that's cannibalism? I mean, technically it is, but it is survival at the end of the day, yeah? So that's what's extremely sad. They were forced to eat each other, basically, in order to survive. I think that's something that stays with you. It's something traumatic that even if you go through this experience and you survive, it's something that is very, very hard to shake off, I think. and 16 survived. Initially, Alessia. But I think it says here eight of the initial survivors died, but an avalanche cascaded down on them as they slept in the fuselage. So I think 8 final survivors, yeah. Or maybe not. I think 8 finally survived, yeah. Okay, let's look at some vocabulary here. Look at these words, the underlined words. Dire desperation and hunger. So let's break this down. Dire is an adjective. What's the meaning of dire? 16 at the end. Okay, very good. So dire, I would say terrible or dreadful. And when someone is desperate, you can imagine dire desperation in complete agony, basically. Yeah, terrible desperation. Excellent, Jenny. Very good. And about eating, they said in the text it says that they had to ration their food. What's a ration? The word is here. So he and his friends trekked the mountains with human flesh as their ration. Have you ever heard that word before? To help you, it was used during the Second World War in England, for example, where people had to ration their meals. Keisha says the Ed Sheeran concert was dire. I don't think you've ever been to an Ed Sheeran concert. Good. So going back to ration. So ration is when, due to a difficult, yeah, very good, Alessia, to divide something into smaller portions, very good. And you're only allowed that specific portion of food because there's limited food supply for everyone. So in order for everyone to get something, you need to keep it equal, and there's a strict limitation on what you can eat. So imagine it's like a war zone, basically. Some other vocabulary. Hope of being found, dashed. What's the meaning of dashed in this way, in this situation? So they were hopeful about being found, but these hopes dashed when the rescuing efforts were basically abandoned. The rescue effort was called off. Dashed is similar to escape, basically, to leave very quickly, in a hurry, to disappear. Very good. And let's look at this expression. So 16 survivors who cheated death. It's a very good expression. You cheat death when you escape almost certain death. So imagine in this situation, if you find yourself in that situation, survival is very difficult and very unlikely. So the probability of you surviving is very low. So if you do survive, it's similar to you cheating death, basically. Death expects to take you, but you are still alive. So you cheat death. It's a very good expression when you escape almost certain death. You can use it with somebody who is a cancer patient, stage 4 cancer, for example, and escapes basically that crisis and is still alive. And the last one we're going to look at is ordeal. What do you think ordeal means? Usually ordeal is a very difficult situation that's quite long as well. So it's a long, difficult sort of experience. So surviving this accident was definitely an ordeal, having to eat other people and just crazy. Okay, final thing we will do today is, Alessia says a misadventure, a tragedy. Yeah, very good, excellent. Okay, the last thing we're gonna do is I want you to tell me who inspires you. So if possible, include some biographical details, describe the particular qualities, personality and traits of this person. Traits are personality characteristics. For example, being patient is a personality trait. Being likable, being calm is a personality trait, yeah. Being honest also. And what is it about them that you find so inspiring? So I will answer for myself. I'm an avid tennis follower, and I think the person who inspires me the most and has inspired me throughout my life is a player called Rafael Nadal. So the Spanish player, you might have heard him, but if you're not a tennis fan, maybe you don't know him very well. He has inspired me because of his hard work and determination and his mental strength, which is unmatched, I think. He might not be the most talented player. I think other players like Federer and Djokovic are more talented than he is, and they have great physical and mental ability. But his mental strength is just crazy. He perseveres through a lot of injuries. He trains extremely hard and he runs himself to the ground, basically, from all his hard work. And I think that's very inspiring. He never gives up. And that's something I have tried to emulate, to follow in my life as well. Let me know who inspires you. You talked about family before. You talked about Elon Musk, Alessia. Give me some more details about why these people have inspired you so much. I think also with Rafa, as the fans call him, I would say he started with playing with a different style, very unorthodox style, very unusual. A lot of defense, not a lot of offense. So he had to work twice as hard in order to win points in tournaments. But he has persevered through that. And in the latest years of his career, he has made sure to improve all the aspects of his game that were lacking. So his volley, his serve. So that constant need for improvement and development and elevation is something I find extremely encouraging and inspiring. Janny says, if I think about my family, it was my uncle, a person who I have always admired. Yeah, with people we use the relative pronoun who is better. Or you can say that, a person that I've always admired. Talking about tennis, as I play tennis, to me is Roger Federer. Okay, very good. Roger Federer is a great inspiration, possibly the best tennis player to have ever lived. Absolutely, and watching him is like watching art in the tennis court. It's amazing. But I find Nadal more inspiring. If I talk about people who are inspiring, I think his mental game and his mental strength is something unmatched. Alessia says Emma Watson is very inspiring because she's very smart, determined, and despite her success, she keeps her feet on the ground and cares a lot about personal values. Wow, that's a great example. I haven't looked into Emma Watson so much. I think she is a great activist. Yeah, she's very active in terms of environment, and she takes action for sure. She's a member of all these communities, and she's a trendsetter. She tries to be a trailblazer, to initiate a lot of movement. And she's also a good actress. Chanley says, thanks for the inspiring lesson. We all need a little bit of motivation in the quarantine to keep us going, yeah? So, yeah, that's why I chose this topic. But anyway, thank you so much for participating, especially Alessia and Janly and Keisha. You have been great to have a conversation with. And I wish you all the best through this quarantine. Stay calm, stay safe, stay at home. And hopefully I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Have a good day.